I didn't know much about Hollywood before reading Kieron Connolly's book. I have little interest in the life of celebrities, and what the state of the Dream Factory looked like 100 years ago. It would seem. But this book is written so fascinatingly that there is practically no feeling of digging into someone else's dirty laundry, except at the end, when familiar surnames appear. However, the personal lives of the stars here are actively interspersed with the history of cinema and politics. I learned a lot of new things in the dark history of Hollywood. I'll tell you everything here in the traditional format of the most interesting nonfiction publication. At the very beginning of the 20th century, it was assumed that stars did not need names so that they would not require high fees. So, Mary Pickford was known as the girl with curls. Why Southern California? At the dawn of filming, lighting was highly appreciated. There were no ceilings in the interiors of the sets, sunlight was used. In New York, where cinema was born, it was SOSO. Why Hollywood? There are different versions. One woman and her husband bought a little fields, calling them by the name of a friend's ranch, Hollywood. With gardening did not work out, so the family divided the plot into parts and began to sell them to visiting filmmakers. In 1910, there lived 160 people. Chaplin was a womanizer, preferring younger girls. One of his wives received a record-breaking $600,000 settlement in their divorce. By the 1930s, there were several large studios. They were so large that they resembled cities. They had their own staff, including not only hairdressers and carpenters, but also dentists and firefighters. The famous Hollywood letters originally looked like Hollywoodland. They were supposed to be a 1.5-year advertising display. However, they eventually became permanent. Unfortunately, they are also associated with tragic events, including suicides. The Mafia threatened to stop the filming of The Godfather, but later, when they realized that the film did not portray them as villains, they supported the project. In 1929, the Dream Factory adopted a code that prohibited the use of nude women. Moreover, there was a strict ban on any hint of a sex scene. Even a kiss could not last longer than 8 seconds, as the director's assistants kept a stopwatch on hand. However, over time, they found ways to circumvent this rule. The book contains information about both what happened 100 years ago and what has been happening in recent years. Monroe, Depp, Brando, and Chaplin are not examined in great detail, but the overall image of the sinful Dream Factory is clear. The book is only 210 pages long, but it was enough for me to gain a general understanding of Hollywood.